Come on in. Come on. We are live on the tube. Let me know if you can hear me. And let's chat and gab. And remember, this channel is for commentary and entertainment only. We are experts of nothing. Greetings and welcome to our Saga Reveal. I'm your host, Mademoiselle. Get in here and get cozy. It is always tea time for me. And please make sure you hit the like button subscribe for notification, and share with others. All right, so today we got a couple of things. So let's get on with the question period that we've missed Thursday and Friday. Thank you. Alrighty. Here we come. Question period. First was October 23rd, which was a Thursday. Let me just go back here and make sure. Yes, because we did cover 21 and 22 in the last episode. For those of you who have missed it, and again, we missed the national anthem. CPAC, come on. Can we get the national anthem? That would be appreciated here from the Saga Reveal. Mademoiselle. Thank you, thank you. Okay, let's get on. I can see it here. Let's play this.
The Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
We got like a standing ovation today. Get ready. All rise. Somebody is very interesting behavior. Let me be honest with you guys. Question period is a moment to see. Definitely not to be missed. You can see them in their art of being politicians. Look at this, all of these people standing up and clapping for Pierre, but we don't know what was behind it. I'm trying to figure out why. But he was actually surprised. Let's rewind this, okay? I am surprised. I wasn't expecting this either.
The Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
He's like, what are they up to? Really?
Thank you.
Merci, mes
Mr.
amis.
Speaker, yesterday the Prime Minister gave a speech, a depressing speech. He said that in his youth there was a lot of opportunity, but that the future for our young people would not be as good as his past had been. He said that young people need to make sacrifices. Sacrifices? That's what young people have been making for the last 10 years under the Liberals. The Liberals have doubled the cost of housing, they've taken away jobs, and they've created intergenerational debt. Young people have to sacrifice more. What do they have left to sacrifice?
That was a very depressing
The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation.
speech.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know what young Canadians have sacrificed in the last election? They sacrificed a pessimistic, negative, critical vision of Canada from the Leader of the Official Opposition. They chose a serious leader, an ambitious government, Mr. Speaker, that is uniting the Canadian economy to create opportunity. We're talking about $215 billion for Canada's GDP. We're talking about major projects from one end of the country to the other. They're going to create great jobs for the future.
Where are they?
Mr. Speaker, apparently the minister didn't listen to the Prime Minister's speech last night when he said that young people are going to have to make sacrifices. They're going to have to sacrifice even more. That's after 10 years of the Liberals. And they forced 3 major sacrifices on our youth. They've made the cost of housing unaffordable. They've killed jobs with the worst jobs numbers in 30 years. And they've created intergenerational debt. Why not propose an affordable budget so that our young people can have an affordable life. The
Wow. Pierre is not messing around about what is happening to the young people, even us, the little older ones. Let us just call it the little older ones. But yes, there is really a lot of hardship out there. People are really tight in their budgets, and it is unfair when our government of 10 years with the liberals are constantly pointing the finger on the conservative when they are the bosses and they think we don't know. Keep trying to pass the bucket and it keeps coming back to bite them. Now, apparently, young people have to sacrifice more. Good luck, guys. They're just telling you, basically, there is no hope for you guys.
Honorable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And every day, here in this House, at every question period, the gulf between this career politician, the leader of the opposition, and an economist who has private sector experience like the Prime Minister gets wider and wider and more obvious for Canadians. What the Prime Minister said yesterday is that we're going to spend less to invest more, that we're going to have a transformational budget with the...
Spend less to invest more. Everybody can read it there. Spend less to invest more. That still is spending more in the investment side. Wow. Mr. Light something there. Let's rewind you. Lightbound. Joel Lightbound, our Minister of Government, Transportation, Public Works, and Procurement. Well, sir, sit down, please. Let's go.
Wider and wider and more obvious for Canadians. What the Prime Minister said yesterday is that we're going to spend less to invest more, that we're going to have a transformational budget with the biggest capital investments in years to create jobs for young people.
So it's going to be the biggest capital investment you're going to try to create that we have no clue from where.
From one end of the country to the other.
Speaker, yesterday the Prime Minister made a very...
From one country... Well, hold on, guys. Let's go back.
From one end of the country to the other.
From one end of the country to the other, we have barriers across all the provinces. And I don't know how he's going to do that. But let's see. Let's hope they don't waste money.
Made a very depressing speech to Canada's youth. He said they would have to make more sacrifices. More sacrifices. After 10 Liberal years that doubled the cost of housing and drove out the possibility that youth could own their own home. After the sacrifice of their jobs, with the worst employment numbers since the 1990s. After the sacrifice of a lifelong of shouldering high debt. Young people need hope, jobs, and homes. Why won't the Prime Minister reverse his disastrous decade of policies so that we can restore that hope?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Labour.
Speaker, I had the honour of presenting red seals to 3 new apprentices of the IBEW in Local 230, Victoria, BC. Mr. Speaker, they're proud of what they accomplished. They're optimistic about the future because, Mr. Speaker, we are going to put them to work. Mr. Speaker, we're going to build homes. We're building major infrastructure projects in the national interest. Thousands of jobs, thousands of opportunities for apprenticeship. Mr. Speaker, while the Conservatives come to this House and talk Canada down every day, we're going to be supporting workers. We're building Canada up.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
3 apprentices, Mr. Speaker. That does not account for the countless job losses, the highest jobless rate in 30 years outside of COVID caused by this government.
This guy was bragging about 3 apprenticeships. Let's go, guys. Let me just rewind this again. Sitting down like he deserves any clapping with the thousands of jobs leaving.
3 apprentices, Mr. Speaker. That does not account for the countless job losses, the highest jobless rate in 30 years outside of COVID caused by this government. Nor does it account for the doubling of housing costs that 80% of young people believe they will never be able to afford a home. But yet the Prime Minister tells our youth that they have to sacrifice even more. All he offers is more costs, more debt, and more despair when Canadians actually need is more homes, more jobs, and more hope. Why won't he introduce an affordable budget for an affordable life?
Here, here, sir.
Every day.
I don't know what are they doing on the conservative. They're not the ones causing all of this. They're not the ones who came up with all these regulation and laws and bills and red tapes and hardship and carbon tax hidden somewhere else. Guys, I've seen gas changing price every other day here. I don't know what's going on.
The Conservatives come to this House and talk down the Canadian economy. We are supporting our workers, Mr. Speaker. We are going to build, Mr. Speaker. Build bold. Build now with Canadian lumber, with Canadian steel, Canadian unionized worker, Mr. Speaker. We are defending our workers, Mr. Speaker. We'll be there for Canada. I hope the Conservatives join us.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Speaker, apparently nobody over there watched the depressing, miserable, hopeless speech the Prime Minister gave to Canadian youth yesterday. He said that Canadian youth need to sacrifice more, Mr. Speaker, when in fact, quite the opposite is true. Mr. Speaker, the youth of this country have sacrificed enough. They can't afford homes, they can't get jobs, and now they have a generational lifetime of debt to shoulder. What Canadian youth need is homes, jobs, and hope. Yesterday, I provided the Prime Minister with a plan to do it. Will he put that hopeful plan in his budget?
Oh, y'all, there is no hope. Are they going to put that in the budget? You see what's going on? Let's rewind this.
The Opposition.
Speaker, apparently nobody over there watched the depressing, miserable, hopeless speech.
Let me ask you, because I'll be honest, nobody knew ahead of time that there was going to be a speech the night before, which is going to be a national speech. It turned out to be in front of university students, somehow addressing these university students that have a couple of years left to go to the work industry. And the speech was something else. I don't know if you guys heard it. Were you guys expecting a speech? Let me know, because a lot of people were not aware there was going to be a speech.
Prime Minister gave to Canadian youth yesterday. He said that Canadian youth need to sacrifice more, Mr. Speaker, when in fact, quite the opposite is true. Mr. Speaker, the youth of this country have sacrificed enough. They can't afford homes, they can't get jobs, and now they have a generational lifetime of debt to shoulder. What Canadian youth need is homes, jobs, and hope. Yesterday, I provided the Prime Minister with a plan to do it. Will he put that hopeful plan in his budget?
Hope Pierre had a meeting with him yesterday. That was so this was Wednesday, because this was on Thursday. He had a meeting with him, and the meeting, he didn't say too much. He came out smiling. Well, I think I might have the video up in here, but eventually, he's saying right now that he gave him the affordable plan that he put together with his party members, and he would like him to put it to action as well, to use it. So let's see if they will work together, because the whole time is that, will you guys work with us? But technically, when it's a minority, actually should be even more to be working together, but they haven't been. And there's nothing that's going to pass, because the Liberals are in the minority. So let's see the response.
The only person who's miserable when the Prime Minister speaks, Mr. Speaker, is the Leader of the Opposition.
The McKinnon, he's the miserable one, guys.
What the Prime Minister is talking about is spending less and investing more. Investing in what? In careers for young people, in building major national projects, in being a technology leader in the world today, with Premier Ford leading the world in small modular nuclear reactors. Mr. Speaker, the young people of this country are proud to be Canadians. They're proud to see a future from coast to coast to coast in this country. The young people of this country have a bright future.
What is he talking about, guys? This is what they do. Just ignore each other's questions sometimes, and it's fun.
It is too bad that minister didn't write the Prime Minister's speech yesterday, because it wouldn't have bored and depressed to tears all of those poor students stuck in that room.
They're
There
little
he spoke
jabs.
about how they would have to all of those poor students stuck in that room. There he spoke about how they would have to sacrifice more and that it would take time to reverse all of the misery that has built up over the last 10 years. Mr. Speaker, young people want to have homes. They want to have jobs. They want to have hope. They want a budget that is affordable so they can have a life that is affordable. Will the Prime Minister introduce that budget so that Canadians can restore the promise of their country?
Yes, it doesn't have anything to do with what you're planning in the
You can
industry,
be sure
bro.
we are going to introduce a budget. The question is whether the leader of the opposition is going to support that budget, because here's what that budget's going to do. It's going to give young people all over this country the ability to stand up and say, that's where my future lies, in Canada, in skilled trades, in technology, in the professions, in careers that are going to give me and my family hope, a home, a community, a job, a future, the best country in the world, build Canada.
The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, with the budget coming up soon, the government has accused the opposition parties of playing political games, but they're going to have to explain how demanding funding for healthcare is playing political games. How is supporting seniors in the face of the cost of living crisis a political game? How is dealing with the housing crisis, access to home ownership, and infrastructure a political game? Our demands are directly connected to the needs of Quebecers. They're public, and they have not changed. If the government ignores those demands, well then, at the end of the day, who is playing political games? The Honourable Minister of Culture and Canadian Identity. Mr. Speaker, the leader of the Bloc Québécois seems to be changing ideas like he changed his shirts after the elections. He said, we're ready to work with the government. We want to give them some time so that we can help Canadians and Quebecers. But now what are they saying? Before even having read the budget, Mr. Speaker, they're saying, well, listen, we've got our answer for the budget. And it's clear what they're doing. I think everyone would like to know what the Bloc Québécois position is. Are they going to read the budget before they decide to vote for or against? The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean.
is always animated, guys.
Mr. Speaker, I'll tell you what looks like political games. It's when the Prime Minister doesn't want to work with others. It's when the Prime Minister meets with party leaders to discuss their expectations for the budget, but he already has a speech written for that evening where he ignores everything that the opposition leaders have suggested. Not a word about healthcare or seniors. No commitments to transfer funds unconditionally to Quebec for infrastructure or for social and community housing. Silence, nothing on the $840 million stolen from Quebecers to give election gifts to the rest of Canadians. Why is the Prime Minister playing political games? Stolen from Quebecers to structure or for social and community housing. Silence, nothing on the $840 million stolen from Quebecers to give election gifts to the rest of Canadians. Why is the Prime Minister...
Have you guys heard about that? See? This is why it is nice to always watch them talking between themselves live during question period so that we can now go figure out what is it with this $840 million election what? Sounds like a bribe. Smells fishy. What can I say? Guys, I think this one deserves a drum roll. And guess what? We have a drum roll here. I would say tonight, she won. She got my attention. Let's go back at this young amazing woman. Her name is Christine Normandin from Saint-Jean, Quebec, part of the Bloc Québécois. Ooh, watch it. Mr. Guilbeault.
Prime Minister meets with party leaders to discuss their political game.
Yeah.
The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, I'll tell you what looks like political games. It's when the Prime Minister doesn't want to work with others. It's when the Prime Minister meets with party leaders to discuss their expectations for the budget, but he already has a speech written for that evening where he ignores everything that the opposition leaders have suggested. Not a word about healthcare or seniors. No commitments to transfer funds unconditionally to Quebec for infrastructure or for social and community housing. Silence, nothing on the $840 million stolen from Quebecers to give election gifts to the rest of Canadians.
Wow.
Why is the Prime Minister playing political games? He's playing them instead of meeting the needs of Quebecers. The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, the House leader met with the Bloc leader to talk about the budget. The Minister of Finance met with the Bloc leader to talk about the budget. The Prime Minister met with the Bloc leader to talk about the budget. I met with the leader of the Bloc Québécois to talk about the budget. But before the budget's even been made public, the Bloc Québécois said, oh, listen, we're not interested. We're not going to vote in favor. They're not going to vote in favor of measures that are going to help millions of Canadians save on their taxes, Mr. Speaker. They're not going to vote for a budget that's going to build hundreds of thousands of new homes. I think the Bloc's position is unacceptable. The Honourable Member for Berthier-Masquinongé. Mr. Speaker, the government leader says that if the budget doesn't pass, it's going to be the opposition's fault. The Minister of Finance has accused us of playing political games. But Our demands have been public for a long time now, and it was the Prime Minister who's chosen to ignore them, and he didn't have any of them in his pre-budget speech last night. Mr. Speaker, this is a minority government. It should act like a minority government and make agreements if it wants the budget to pass. Why is it so complicated to just meet the needs of Quebecers?
Listen, this is how politics
The
work,
Honourable Government House Leader.
guys. I just my favorite time when they're going at each other. And she said it. He doesn't answer the question that was given to him. But that's what they do to each other. And it's part of, ignoring, working on their tactics. Maybe gather some more people from the opposition sides, from maybe the NDP, or maybe from the Bloc, maybe from the independent guys, the Green. So they're working hard to recruit each other right now because, they're definitely in the minority and the Conservatives are in majority, but the Liberals are the leaders. So let's go. You always hear it from their mouth what's really going on. You don't have to watch the news. You don't have to go anywhere. You can go just straight to CPAC or come and enjoy it with me here. Watch it together.
Mr. Speaker, Quebecers' needs are very, very, very well represented on this side of the House, with 44 members on this side of the House from
44.
Quebec. These are people who are active in
bragging.
their communities, who represent their constituents, who talk about their forests, who talk about their seniors, who talk about their young people, who want to build a prosperous future for all young Quebecers.
See how they get all excited? Because they have 44 Liberals from Quebec, and they're all standing up to those Bloc Québécois, and they're like, yeah, like you mean anything. Well, this is how you create some enemies, okay, guys? But again, it's a big family at the end of the day.
And we are a Canada that is strong and
Look at
united,
that,
Mr.
look at
Speaker.
that.
We have no lessons to take from the Bloc Québécois when it comes to the future of Quebec.
Smile.
Nice
Nice talk.
Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
The Prime Minister told young Canadians that there would be more sacrifices in their future. Young people are already facing a bleak future because of Liberal policies, exploding housing and food prices, historic highs in unemployment. Mr. Speaker, past generations sacrificed to make life better for their children. But now young people are being told to sacrifice their future because of elite Liberal policies. Mr. Speaker, will Liberals stop breaking their promises and restore hope for the future of this country?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, you know what youth of this country want? They want a leader that doesn't spin conspiracy theories, attack democratic institutions, and suggest other leaders be jailed. Mr. Speaker, on November 4th, we're going to table a generational budget. We're going to invest in Canada. We're going to build Canada. I suggest a leader opts to sacrifice his ego, put the rhetoric aside, and help us build Canada. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Sherwood Park,
His ego,
Fort
it's not for the
Saskatchewan.
youth. That doesn't make sense.
Respectfully, that nonsense answer obviously had nothing to do with the question. And when we're talking about youth unemployment, I think it's time for the Liberals to sacrifice their tired talking points and actually get serious about addressing this problem. Now, last week, we introduced the
Thank you,
Conservative
Garnet.
Jobs Plan to unleash the economy, fix immigration, fix training, and build homes where the jobs are. So instead of preaching sacrifice, why don't the Liberals actually propose a youth jobs plan? Better yet, why don't they simply adopt ours?
The Honourable Secretary of State.
We don't want to look
Mr.
good.
Speaker, while the Conservatives are
Or
in damage
nice.
control mode, we're in build mode. On November 4th,
We like to be
we're going
riled
to
up.
table a generational budget. We're going to invest in Canada. We're going to build at a scale not seen since the Second World War. We're going to invest in infrastructure, national projects. Mr. Speaker, we believe in Canada. We will build Canada's economy and the strongest economy in the G7. I ask the party opted to come out of the shadows, support our budget. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Richmond Hill South.
Yesterday, this Liberal Prime Minister told a room full of students that they're going to have to make some sacrifices. Well, young people have already sacrificed enough over the last 10 years. They've sacrificed by paying skyrocketing food costs. They've sacrificed with an entire summer without jobs because Liberal job-killing policies have driven youth unemployment to recessionary levels. They've sacrificed the dream of home ownership because the Liberals created the worst housing crisis ever. And last month, rents were up another 4.8% nationally. Canadians shouldn't have to sacrifice for Liberal failures. When will the Liberals stop doubling down on the same failed policies, get spending under control so young Canadians can finally afford to buy a home?
Well, he's not old. Let me just say, he looks pretty young. And he's telling them, hello, I'm here. It is hard. You can try to ignore these guys, but I'm telling you, and I do believe these are some of the young ones in Conservative Party. And thank you, sir.
Minister of Jobs and Families.
Boy, Mr. Speaker, that speech really freaked out the Conservatives, didn't it? Because it was all about ambition. It was about investing in ourselves. It was about building major projects. It was about the project that Prime Minister Carney announced with Premier Ford, that the Prime Minister...
I don't think I even need to say it. I think everyone knows. But the member may go ahead. Not on the top.
Let's go back. Hold on. What did we miss?
It was about investing in ourselves. It was about building major projects. It was about the project that Prime Minister Carney announced with Premier Ford, that the Prime Minister...
I don't think I even need to say it. I think everyone knows. But the member may go ahead. Not on the top.
Mr. Speaker, that speech yesterday from the Prime Minister really freaked these Conservatives out.
Oh, hold on. Let's go back, guys. Sometimes
So young
they're...
Canadians can finally
Mr. Speaker, that speech really freaked out the Conservatives, didn't it? Because it was all about ambition. It was about investing in ourselves. It was about building major projects. It was about the project that Prime Minister Carney announced with Premier Ford, that the Prime Minister...
Look who's freaked out.
I don't think I even need to say it.
Going
I
on
think
about
everyone
it.
knows. But the member may go ahead. Not on the top.
Mr. Speaker, that speech yesterday from the Prime Minister really freaked these Conservatives out because they saw the ambition in that speech. And not only did they see it in that speech today, as the Prime Minister stood with the Premier investing in new nuclear to ensure the jobs of today and the future, they know that the youth...
The honourable member for Newmarket Aurora.
Her time is over.
Yesterday, the Prime Minister told a room full of students that they're going to have to make sacrifices. But after 10 long years of failed Liberal policies they already have, they've sacrificed their dream of owning a home, sacrificed their dream of starting a family because they cannot afford it. They have watched food prices skyrocket, and housing starts in Toronto at a 30-year low. Canada has everything it needs to thrive, but it's failing because of their policies. Will the Liberals stop breaking their promises and get their spending out of control so young Canadians can finally afford to dream?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the youth in my riding are dreaming, and not only that, they're working, and they're entering the workforce in extraordinary ways. Let me talk about the young welder that I met at Thunder Bay Hydraulics just a few weeks ago, who approached me the other day and said that because of the programs that the province and the federal government work together on to ensure she had work-integrated learning, she was now a welder with that company. Mr. Speaker, we're investing in jobs, we're investing in youth. Every time we look across the aisle, these guys are voting against the interests of youth. It's very rich for them to talk about youth.
The honourable member for Brandon.
Here's how they do it. They just throw it back
The
on
Prime
each
Minister
other.
told a room full of students that they have to make sacrifices. Mr. Speaker, students and young people in this country have already sacrificed enough to these Liberals. They've sacrificed the dream of home ownership. They've paid the price at the pump and for the cost of food. They've spent summers without jobs. Now the Liberals get up and their big achievement is 3 new apprenticeship Red Seals? You gotta be kidding me. Canadians have sacrificed enough over the last 10 years. They shouldn't have to sacrifice more for these Liberal failures. Will the Liberals get their spending under control in the November 4th budget and restore the promise of hope for young Canadians?
The honourable Minister of International Trade.
Canadians vividly remember, young Canadians vividly remember when the leader of the opposition, the Conservative leader, stood up and voted against removing interest off Canada's student loans, saving young Canadians thousands of dollars every year, Mr. Speaker. This new government will always stand up for young Canadians. Yesterday, the Prime Minister announced that we will double non-U.S. exports by $300 billion. That means thousands of new opportunities for young Canadians producing the goods that the world wants to buy. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Montmorency-Charlevoix. Mr. Speaker, yesterday the Prime Minister announced in front of a room full of students that they were going to have to make sacrifices. But they've been sacrificing for 10 years now, Mr. Speaker. They've sacrificed the dream of having a home. They're sacrificing too much of their own budget to pay for groceries, and last summer, many weren't even able to find a job. A simple question, will the Liberals finally stop breaking their promises? Will they rein in spending, and will they allow Canadians to buy groceries at a fair price and dream of being able to one day buy a house? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. While the Leader of the Opposition is on YouTube and spreading conspiracy theories attacking the RCMP
It's how they distract.
and saying that his adversary should be in prison, I choose without hesitation, a prime minister who is explaining to Canadians how we're building the strongest economy in the G7 by building projects from coast to coast to coast, by making life more affordable, for example, by cutting taxes for 22 million Canadians, by making housing more affordable. That's what we're doing on this side of the House. That's the difference between an opposition party that has a small vision for the country and an ambitious, serious government on this side. The honourable member from Montmorency-Charlevoix. We don't have a small vision for the country, Mr. Speaker. We have a fair vision for young people who can't afford homes, who are being hit hard by inflation, who are seeing grocery prices going up. This is having a real impact on their physical and mental health and their hope of one day having a bright future. Yesterday, again, the Prime Minister, in a depressing speech, asked young people to make sacrifices. When is this Liberal government going to stop crushing our young people under the weight of their poor management and allow them to have a better future?
Has nothing to do with Pierre. It's you guys.
Mr. Speaker, the ambition on this side of the House is ambition that is serious. We'll build the strongest economy in the G7. We'll free the power of the Canadian economy. We'll make the economy stronger by lowering taxes for 22 million Canadians, by cutting GST on new homes, by making housing more affordable across the country, by investing in building an unprecedented number of new homes in this country. That's the ambition that we have on this side of the House. That's what we're going to deliver for young Canadians. The honourable member for Repentigny.
Still
Mr.
nothing.
Speaker,
Just
Ottawa's
words, guys.
just announced $2 billion to build a nuclear power plant in Ontario. For years now, Quebec has been offering to sell true clean electricity to Ontario, but Ontario and Doug Ford have turned that down. And today, the federal government announced that it's going to make Quebecers pay for a nuclear power plant in Ontario that's going to allow it to compete with Quebec's truly clean energy. Quebecers are losers 3 times over here. We're losing when it comes to the environment, when it comes to trade, and now we're losing our tax dollars. Is the government going to back down? The Honourable Minister of the Environment and Climate Change.
Well, Doug is a little favorite here. We all know he's always, there when Carney screws up, and he's always there when, Carney's faking some achievements. So let's go.
Mr. Speaker, I want to be very clear that we are building a country for the future, and that's with clean energy. And as a member from Ontario, I can say that nuclear energy has helped us get away from coal-fired power plants. That means we have cleaner air for our kids. It's very important that we continue to work to have clean electricity across the country.
Is it cleaner than Quebec?
We already have the cleanest electricity, and we are going to continue to do the hard work to improve that. The Honourable Member for Repentigny. Mr. Speaker, the federal government isn't happy with just making us pay to allow Ontario to compete with Hydro-Quebec. It goes even further than that, because if Ontario develops nuclear power, that means there's going to be an increase in radioactive waste. And what do you think they're going to do with it? Well, they're probably going to be storing it at Chalk River, as they're doing right now. That's on the banks of the Ottawa River, which is the main source of drinking water for millions of Quebecers. The federal government is making us pay hundreds of millions of dollars to put our drinking water at risk. Does the government really think that we're going to accept that? The Honourable Minister.
Wow, did you see this
Mr.
guy's
Speaker,
eyes?
really
Hold
think
on.
that is making us pay of the Ottawa River, which is the main source of drinking water for millions of Quebecers. The federal government is making us pay hundreds of millions of dollars to put our drinking water at risk. Does the government really think that we're going to accept that? The Honourable Minister.
He's not
Mr. Speaker,
happy.
we should be very proud in this country that we have clean electricity from coast to coast to coast. It's 84% clean energy, and we're continuing to work with the provinces across the country, and we are going to continue to do the work that needs to be done with hydroelectricity in Quebec, and we'll continue to work with Newfoundland on hydroelectricity as well. But nuclear is part of that. Wind power is part of that. We're going to continue to do that work. It's important for our future.
The Honourable Member for North Island, Powell River.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister just told a room full of young Canadians that they're going to have to make sacrifices. Well, after 10 years of the Liberal government, they've already had to sacrifice the dream of owning a home. They've already had to sacrifice their modest expectations of living in a safe community. They've already had to sacrifice an economy where the cost of living is manageable and good-paying jobs are easy to find. So my question for the Prime Minister is, when he made these comments, what additional sacrifices for young Canadians did he have in mind?
Secretary of State for Sport.
The leader of the Conservatives doesn't seem to get is that Canadians use hope and hard work and sacrifice every single day to build up our country and our communities. But when the failed former MP from Carleton lost his seat, Mr. Speaker, he didn't have to make any sacrifices or be accountable. He didn't even learn a lesson, clearly. But when his constituents fired him, he should have maybe paused and reflect a little bit. But since he didn't lose his home and taxpayer-funded market housing, I guess that's why he continued to deny it to millions of Canadians.
Oh, buddy. This guy's not happy. Pierre is back. He's like, you still... He's very, well, bro, he was going to come back for you guys. Your nightmares just hitting you. I can see it in your face now. All of those baggy eyes Do you guys see those baggy eyes? Right there, guys. This man is not sleeping well since Pierre is back. They thought he was not going to come back. That goes to show that if it was meant to be, it wasn't meant to be. And thank God Alberta fixed it. Your mistakes, or more likely, didn't get sucked into your election interferences. This is what's going on in Canada. Let's go.
Mr. Speaker,
listen to this angry man again.
Secretary,
And this guy was nice and polite.
For young Canadians did he have in mind?
Question. Look at him.
Secretary of State for Sport.
the leader of the Conservatives doesn't seem to get is the Canadians use hope and hard work and sacrifice every single day to build up our country and our communities. But when the failed former MP from Carleton lost his seat, Mr. Speaker, he didn't have to make any sacrifices or be accountable. He didn't even learn a lesson, clearly. But when his constituents
Adam
should pause and reflect a little bit.
jealous.
Since he didn't lose his home and taxpayer-funded non-market housing, I guess that's why he continued to deny it to millions of Canadians, Mr. Speaker. Maybe that failed and flailing Conservative leader should join some students in a class, because it seems like 20 years in this House, after 20 years in this House, he can learn a thing or two about hard work.
Well, someone is mad.
I guess, Mr. Speaker, one of the things we also have to sacrifice are answers in question period. After 10 years of Liberal government, we've had a cost of living crisis. We've had an addictions crisis that's left 50,000 Canadians, mainly young Canadians, dead from drug overdoses. And now we have a growing youth jobs crisis, with youth unemployment surging to 14.7%, the highest level in 15 years. If young Canadians can barely afford to put a roof over their head and food on their table when they're working, how are they going to be able to afford it when they're out of a job?
Good job. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Prime Minister.
We find it a little bit rich that the Conservative Party is going to stand up and talk about youth when they consistently vote against the measures that this government has introduced that actually matter to young Canadians in this country. They voted against budget measures that actually support young skilled trade workers. They voted against the Canada Child Benefit. They vote against national school food programs. They vote against programs that are ensuring dental programs, Canada Housing Benefit. We have a plan to build up this country. We have a plan to build major national projects. There is a bright and hopeful future for youth in this country, notwithstanding the fact that the Conservatives don't want to join us in those measures, so make it happen, Mr. Speaker.
Wow.
Member for York, Durham.
Well, Mr. Speaker, despite all these programs, the Prime Minister still went to students yesterday and gave them a message: you must sacrifice more. Well, the next generation has sacrificed enough. They've sacrificed the dream of home ownership.
Thank you,
They've
Jacob.
sacrificed the dream of starting a family. He might as well have said, let them eat cake. Well, then, if the next generation has sacrificed enough after 10 years, will the Prime Minister reverse course, get his spending under control so that the next generation of young Canadians can afford to feed themselves and own a home?
The Honourable Minister of International Trade.
Mr. Speaker, our new government is supporting young Canadians with the skills and opportunities they need to build their futures. That's why when the Prime Minister announced on campus just yesterday that we'll double Canada's non-U.S. exports over the next decade, it mattered. We're talking about 2/3 of our economy driven by international trade. It means millions of jobs and more careers in communities across Canada producing the goods that the world wants to buy. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for York, Durham.
The only thing this government is doubling is the debt that the next generation will have to pay. So-called generational investment, that is just generational debt and generational inequality. In fact, Habitat for Humanity now says 70% of Canadians say owning a home is impossible. And for those that rent, they saw a 5% increase year over year, Mr. Speaker. That is the result of Liberal policies. Will the Prime Minister sacrifice his policies rather than the future of the next generation?
There you go.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Speaker, when we talk about making generational investments in our upcoming budget, it's because we believe on this side of the House that youth and young people are the drivers of our future economic growth, and we have a responsible plan to ensure that they have the skills and opportunities to succeed. It builds on the work that we're doing to support apprenticeships and red seal trades, co-ops, and access to post-secondary education and training. But most importantly, we're creating thousands of new career-starting jobs, investing in major projects, and making it more affordable for young people to buy a home. Housing starts, construction, investment, wages are up. This is part of our plan. We've got more to do.
You guys are too fancy, well dressed in the back of there.
Mr. Speaker, the public safety minister's job is to keep Canadians safe. Yet just today we learned that 32,000 foreign nationals have warrants pending their deportation. That means they are lost. They are wanted. 32,000 people, and the minister doesn't know where they are. We have him on secret recording saying his gun confiscation won't work. We have crime absolutely skyrocketing, and now he's lost 32,000 foreign nationals. So the question is this, Mr. Speaker: when will the Prime Minister fire this public safety minister for failing to keep Canadians safe?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, the safety and security of Canadians is the first and most primary responsibility of this government. That's That's what we've taken very important measures in order to ensure the safety and security of Canadians, including having the highest levels of removals in a decade. Over 20,000 people will be removed from Canada for being here improperly, Mr. Speaker. That's what we introduced, bail reform and sentencing reform just this afternoon. That's what we have, Bill C-12, that's going through the House. I encourage the party opposition to support these measures in order to keep Canadians even more safer, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Spadina.
You should be fired.
Speaker, this government was elected with a decisive mandate to keep violent repeat offenders off our streets. While the leader of the opposition was attacking the brave men and women of the RCMP, calling them despicable, the Minister of Justice was working with provinces, territories, and law enforcement to develop solutions-focused bail and sentencing reforms. Today, the Minister has tabled Bill C-14, the Bail and Sentencing Reform Act. Can the Minister explain how this bill will ensure the safety of our communities and keep dangerous offenders behind bars?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, there is not a less credible voice when it comes to criminal justice reform than the Leader of the Opposition. In the past few weeks, he has called the RCMP despicable. He has attacked Crown prosecutors, and he has suggested his political...
He called the institution despicable, not necessarily all of the agents, but the agency. All right? This guy.
Opponents should be jailed. The legislation we table today will make it harder to get bail for violent repeat offenders and will strengthen sentence for serious criminals. Mr. Speaker, criminal justice reform demands a conversation that would engage adults in the rooms. The Conservatives have a leadership review coming up. I invite them to choose one.
Oh, like it's for you to say anything.
Some NL residents finding it hard to survive as grocery prices continue to rise. That's the headline from CBC today. They go on to say that the price of food in Newfoundland and Labrador is up 4% since last September. Beef leads the way, up 20%. This Liberal Prime Minister said he would be judged by the prices Canadians pay at the grocery store. So will he get his inflationary deficits under control so that Canadians can afford to put food on the table? That's good.
The Honourable Minister of Fisheries and Oceans.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I want to remind my opposition colleague from Newfoundland and Labrador that Newfoundland and Labrador was the first province in Canada to sign on to the food school program. The Conservative Party was the first party in Canada to not vote for that program. Newfoundlanders and Labradorians value this program. Moms, parents, know, school educators know what this program means. This is affordability, just as the suite of other programs are affordability, and this member voted against every one of them.
The honourable member for Central Newfoundland.
Mr. Speaker, could you have a more heartless response than from the regional minister from Newfoundland and Labrador, no less, where people are known to have a good heart? That minister knows full well that the school lunch program that they created is garbage. It hasn't fed one child in Canada. Mr. Speaker, she also knows that we're hidden taxes from the
They don't like the word garbage.
Can the member continue, please?
Speaker, could you have a more heartless response than from the regional minister from Newfoundland and Labrador, no less, where folks are known to have a good heart? That minister knows full well that that school lunch program that they created hasn't fed one Canadian child. And Mr. Speaker?
Time's up. Time's up. Time's up. I'm sorry. The Honourable Minister of Fisheries and Oceans.
Mr. Speaker, while the colleague from Newfoundland and Labrador in the opposition wants to talk down programs, humiliate Newfoundlanders and Labradorians and all Canadians, I will reassure Canadians, the school food program is feeding children. It's saving families
Yes, lady.
$800 a year. This is policies that work. I will always stand with Newfoundlanders and Labradorians and Canadians.
The honourable member for Yorkton Melville.
Let me know. You guys get $800 back for food?
Are struggling to secure healthy food for their families because of this Liberal government's out-of-control spending. Skyrocketing food inflation up again 4%. Liberal food taxes and regulations don't show up on their receipts, but Canadians feel them every time they shop for groceries. The Prime Minister said he would be judged by the prices Canadians pay at the grocery store. If he's truly the astute economist he claims he is, why isn't he getting his inflationary deficits and hidden grocery taxes under control so Canadians can afford to feed their families?
Honourable Minister of Jobs and Family.
Well, Mr. Speaker, here we go again with the imaginary taxes. They don't show up on receipts because they're not actually there. So Canadians know that. They know how to read a receipt, Mr. Speaker. But just picking up on the previous question, I just want to remind people about how much good this school nutrition program is doing all across Canada, including, as my colleague mentioned, providing dignity to families all across this country so that their kids can get good nutrition in school, feeding healthy brains, and it's saving families about $800 a year. Mr. Speaker, as a former lunchroom monitor, there's nothing more painful than watching a child who doesn't have a lunch, whether they...
See, they were all still talking about back and forth.
Mr. Speaker, the retooling of the Cami plant in Ingersoll was supposed to be a great success. Taxpayers kicked in hundreds of millions of dollars. The finance minister said this was, quote, proof that Canada's auto sector is here for the long term. Now 1,200 of the plant's hardworking employees, many of them in St. Thomas, Elgin, and London, are out of work. This is all despite the Prime Minister pledging a deal with Trump by July to protect Canadian auto jobs. Today, he says there won't be a deal at all. Auto workers' lives and livelihoods were on the line. Why did the Prime Minister dupe them?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Industry.
Mr. Speaker, we all understand that the Canadian and Ontarian auto sector is crucial. We want it to stay afloat. We are doing all we can to help auto industry workers. What is more, the president of Unifor said recently, I believe yesterday, that the industry minister is doing an exceptional job. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
For Elgin, St. Thomas, London South.
If this is what the Liberals see as an exceptional job, I'd hate to see what they view as poor work. 3,000 workers in Brampton, 1,200 in Ingersoll, 700 in Oshawa, 300 in Saint-Thérèse, Quebec. That is the Liberal record in just a few weeks, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister promised he'd protect auto jobs. I wish he had been more honest than he meant in the United States. The Liberals have handed out billions of dollars in subsidies with no job guarantees for Canadian workers. Last night, the Prime Minister told Canadians we'd have to make sacrifices. We already are, and it's not clear for what. When will he do his job and stop selling out Canadian workers?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Labour.
Mr. Speaker, there's no doubt that the U.S. has changed their trading relationship with the world, and that's having an impact on the auto sector. The Minister of Industry is out fighting for workers. She has summoned Stellantis and GM here to hold them accountable. Mr. Speaker, we're going to do whatever it takes to protect workers, defend our auto sector, bring production back to Canada. Mr. Speaker, because Canadian auto workers are the best in the world, and we're going to fight for them every single day.
Wow, did you guys see this guy used to be the chair in the past? And then he got in trouble because certain papers should have been released and Trudeau didn't want it to. So he was removed after he appointed him.
Every single day.
The Honourable Member for Charlebourg-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister promised to negotiate a win to manage Donald Trump and to get a deal signed with the U.S. before July 21st, but he did the opposite. He failed auto industry workers in Canada and Quebec. PACCAR in Saint-Thérèse has just laid off 300 employees. That brings it to a total of 725 employees since the beginning of the year when the PM started negotiating with Washington. Now the Prime Minister is telling young Canadians that they will need to make sacrifices. Should young Quebecers really have to make sacrifices to please Washington?
Yeah, they're going to have to build the wall.
Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Industry.
We're going to have to build our own wall and pay for it.
My colleague has just mentioned the example of PACCAR. I would like to note that PACCAR's decision is incomprehensible. We do not understand why the U.S. administration is tariffing trucks, including PACCAR trucks.
Well.
This just shows how unpredictable the U.S. administration is. We should keep a cool head here in Canada.
How dumb are you guys?
We will negotiate a good deal.
You act like you don't know. You know very well why. These people. Well, if you don't know, there must be something wrong. It's your job to know. Do you guys see him? Like, oh, he's crazy. Even if he's crazy, you should know.
Including PACCAR trucks. This just shows how unpredictable the U.S. administration is. We should keep a cool head here in Canada. We will negotiate a good deal. The Honourable Member for Charlebourg-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, I remember.
Really? Look. Let me tell you guys.
We should keep a cool head here in Canada. We will negotiate a good deal.
Maybe.
Member for Charlebourg-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, I remember back in the campaign when Liberal candidates were saying, elbows up to Donald Trump. We'll fix it. Don't worry. I manage the Bank of Canada and the Bank of England. I'll manage this. But what are we witnessing? Job losses in the auto sector. 3,000 from Stellantis, 725 Quebec auto workers. Now there's over 10,000 auto workers in Quebec, but they're all at risk because Elbows Up didn't fix the problem. When will the problem be fixed? The Honourable Minister for Canada-US Trade.
Didn't fix nothing.
Mr. Speaker, I am not surprised that my colleague remembers the last electoral campaign, because during it, Canadians chose a government that was not only ready to defend Canadian industry, but also to negotiate with the US government to score a deal that would benefit Canadian workers and businesses. Canadians chose in the election. They knew well that the Conservative Party would be entirely unable to stand up to the US government and defend the interests of Canadian workers and businesses. We are ready.
No, sir. Trump happened with his stupid little mouth. Sorry, sir. Sorry. Listen, sir. Mr. Trump should have not said anything about Carney, but listen, looks like he bought you guys. This does not look good for you. Don't brag about it. What happened, happened, and it was not a good idea. So stop trying to use the conservative as if they were real losers when they actually really gained a lot more in this country. Okay, so the reality is that now you're suffering in minority.
For the challenge.
Wellington, Halton Hills North.
Mr. Speaker, last election, during the debate, the Prime Minister was asked to name the biggest threat to the security of Canada. He answered in one word: China. And now the Foreign Affairs Minister is talking about a strategic partnership with Beijing, including security. These two things seem contradictory.
Yes.
Can the Minister reconcile these two things, or is this another example of the Prime Minister saying one thing during the election and doing another after?
Mr. Speaker, I appreciate the question of my honourable colleague.
Let
me reiterate that the public safety and security of Canadians, regardless of the time and place, is always top of mind for our government, including in our diplomatic relationships. At the same time, Canada will continue to become the strongest economy in the G7. And the way we do that, Mr. Speaker, is to diversify our supply chains while making sure we protect our citizens at home. Thank you.
Honourable member for Wellington, Halton Hills North.
Mr. Speaker, another question about what the Prime Minister called the biggest threat to the security of Canada: foreign interference. Last election, some candidates were vetoed for interference and others were targeted, and millions of Canadians continue to live in fear because of threats from foreign interference. The Foreign Interference Transparency Registry was passed into law last year. The government said it would take 12 months to implement. 16 months have passed and still no registry. So when will it be up and running, and when will the commissioner be appointed?
That actually affects him because he got threats.
I appreciate the opportunity to answer this very important question, Mr. Speaker. I look forward to bringing forth the name to the leaders of the opposition so that we can have consensus on the commissioner, and I assure the member opposite that we'll have the commission up and running by the end of the year.
Good.
The honourable member for Argenteuil-la-Petite-Nation. Mr. Speaker, promise made, promise kept. The Minister of Justice has just tabled Bill C-14, which will strengthen bail and sentencing provisions. This will make it so that no sex offender will be able to serve out their sentence at home. Developed in collaboration with provinces, territories, and law enforcement, Bill C-14 will center victims within the justice system. Could the Justice Minister explain how this bill will protect the public while holding violent reoffenders fully responsible? The Honourable Minister of Justice. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to thank my colleague for his very important question. Our government is working to ensure the safety of Canadians. This bill will create...
This is how they have the questions already, and they know what to answer, and they decide to ignore. So there is no way here
stronger
that they
sentences
don't know.
for violent reoffenders, and will end sentences served at home by sex offenders. We will also make jail time the default for violent reoffenders. I worked with provinces, territories, and law enforcement. I look forward now to working with all the members to get this bill passed.
Sturgeon River.
Mr. Speaker, never before has a government
Mr.
spent
Cooper.
so much and delivered so little. The latest example, the CRA. Under these Liberals, the CRA's budget increased by a staggering 70%, yet according to the Auditor General, the CRA has failed to meet its service standard a shocking 95% of the time. So how is it possible that every time the Liberals spend more, Canadians get less?
I adore Mr. Cooper. He's the best. He's a great lawyer, too.
Thank you for the question, Mr. Speaker. We accept the Auditor General's report, and we will learn from that. But let me be very clear. There was 167 calls made by the Auditor General. The CRA has made 100,000 calls, and we have upwards of 90% calls answered accurately. We will improve. We will continue to learn, but Mr. Speaker,
Terrible.
we will continue to provide a CRA that is responsive to Canadians. Thank you.
The honourable member for St. Albert, Sturgeon River.
Mr. Speaker, not only did the CRA fail to meet its service standard 95% of the time, last year 8.6 million calls to the CRA went unanswered, and if you were lucky enough to get through, the CRA gave wrong information 83% of the time. And what is the Liberal solution? Increase the CRA's budget even more. You can't make this stuff up. Have these Liberals learned absolutely nothing after 10 years of failure?
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, I'm right here. Canadians deserve timely and accurate service from the CRA. There's no question about that. But, Mr. Speaker, we have good news. We have good news. We've instituted a 100-day plan. Service levels and access are up. We're upwards of 83% of calls answered within 15 minutes. Mr. Speaker, we are laser focused on the CRA delivering good service for Canadians, and that is what we are going to do. Thank you.
Member for Haliburton, Kawartha Lakes.
Speaker, auditors report that over 130 valuable Indigenous artworks have vanished from a federal collection overseen by the Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations. Security was so weak, the theft went undetected, and the department has no plan to recover the missing art, yet they continue to buy new pieces. The entire collection is worth over $14 million and includes cultural treasures. How can the minister explain this blatant mismanagement, and why is the Liberal plan just to spend more money and ignore the crime?
Here, here. The Honourable Minister of
Thank you.
Relations.
Speaker, we are working with our partners to address the issue, and I'd be happy to work with my colleagues on the other side as well. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for South Shore, St. Margaret's.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, fishing is the economic engine of my community in South Shore St. Margaret's, but many of the people in my riding are concerned about the conservation of lobster and the risks of the industry posed by illegal fishing. The fisheries officers on the front lines are doing everything they can, but it appears that illegal fishing persists. Can the minister please tell me what she's been doing to combat illegal fishing, and has her plan been working?
Honourable Minister of Fisheries and Oceans.
Mr. Speaker, illegal fishing is unlawful. It threatens conservation, it attacks the livelihood of people in coastal communities. And that's why we've strengthened enforcement, added more patrols on the water and at wharfs, and we're working with enforcement partners. This summer in southwest Nova Scotia, fisheries officers seized vessels and traps. They returned thousands of lobsters to the ocean, stopped black market sales, including 200 crates of lobster seized last week. Our plan is delivering results, and I will do everything I can to keep fisheries safe and regulated.
The honourable member for Lévis-Lotbinière. Mr. Speaker, inflation was 3.3% in Quebec in September. Why? Hidden taxes like the industrial carbon tax, the food packaging tax, and the clean fuel regulations. These taxes will fritter away $9 billion of real GDP by 2030. Mr. Speaker, will the former governor of the Bank of Canada now preside over the bankruptcy of Canada?
Wow. Did you guys...
Of Canada, Mr. Speaker, will the former governor of the Bank of Canada now preside over the bankruptcy of Canada?
Yeah, oversee the bankruptcy of that. Wow. Hold on, let's get him here. Mr.
And
Jacques
clean fuel
Gould.
regulations. These taxes will fritter away $9 billion of real GDP by 2030. Mr.
At
Speaker,
his face.
will the former governor of the Bank of Canada now preside over the bankruptcy of Canada?
What? It's a nice way to end the day, guys.
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. McKinnon.
Mr. Speaker, every time that member gets up, it's at least an 8 out of 10 question. Despite what my honourable colleague is shouting about, I can assure the House that Canada's finances are the best in the G7. We have the fiscal room to invest in the future of our country and our young people. My colleague should join us to vote in favour.
Well, I don't know if you guys remember when Trudeau, before he stepped down and called for the party to elect a new leader. Well, what we found out is that when he went to visit Trump, there was like a little hot mic or something, him saying, well, Canada's like doesn't have anything, we're like kind of like bankrupt. So this is still up in the air.
For the budget that will be tabled November 4th.
Mr. Speaker, not only is the Prime Minister planning to cut women and gender equality by as much as 81%, the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives just revealed that 59% of planned jobs cuts to the public service will impact women. Mr. Speaker, if the Prime Minister wants to regain the trust of women after forcing flight attendants back to unpaid work at Air Canada, why doesn't he stop these devastating job cuts?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary for the Minister of Women and Gender Equality. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That is why we are so focused on the economy. We don't talk enough about this, but we have a feminist vision. When the economy is going well, the status of women improves. This is important for building our society. Our government has invested more than any other in protecting women and LGBTQ+ communities. We will continue along this path. We will continue to keep our promises.
The Honourable Member for Saanich Gulf Islands.
Speaker, tomorrow is the 80th anniversary of the creation of the United Nations. Canada has an enviable reputation, but it's from long ago, when we were leaders in fighting for human rights, leaders in peacekeeping. I'd like to ask the Honourable Minister for Foreign Affairs, if Canada is rethinking our current position, will we continue to ignore the work of the Treaty for the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, or will we again make efforts to be a country known for peacekeeping and ending the threat of nuclear war?
The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, Canada believes in a world free of nuclear weapons, and the current arsenals around the world remain far too large. Deterrence is fundamental, and we share the concerns of the honourable member about the unacceptable slow pace of disarmament. We all share a responsibility to protect against these threats, including through the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. At the United Nations recently, I spoke about the importance of multilateralism. It is collective action that will get us through these times, including through the challenge.
Time is up, girl.
Et
And it's the end.
I took two things that I love.
All right, guys. Let me just go. We're going to stop this for today. And I'm going to do the other one tomorrow. But in the meantime, we're going to wrap it up with a couple of news. So, this was very interesting. Here, let me share my screen. Share the screen. We want the response. Alrighty, let's go.
Des membres de notre caucus de jeunesse. Pierre et moi, nous sommes jeunes.
Oh, this was yes after the speech. Actually, you know what? Hold on. Let's go here. Yes, that was after the speech. But basically here, we definitely need to cover this part. My bad here. Hold on. Here it is. The Stellantis. Yes, definitely. This has become an issue for the Conservatives. They want to see the contract that the government had with Stellantis for the EV plant, I'm assuming. Yeah. So let's go. Share.
But first, we are reaching out to Raquel Jancho, the Conservative Shadow Minister for Industry. She joins us in the foyer of the House of Commons. Ms. Jancho, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Listen, I think it's worthwhile to walk through your logic here, because what your caucus, your leader, what you're asking for are the contracts that the previous Liberal government signed with Stellantis. What are you trying to do here? Understand the terms of that contract, understand the government's ability to actually sue the company? What exactly are you looking for?
Well, just a point of clarification, the minister responsible for these contracts is now the Finance Minister of Canada. And what we're trying to understand is the Liberal government made one of the largest corporate subsidies in Canadian history, $15 billion to Stellantis, which is one of the largest employers in our auto sector, $15 billion to produce electric vehicle batteries.
Taxpayers' money.
Just last week, we learned the shocking and disappointing news that production at the Stellantis Brampton facility is now moving down to the United States, putting 3,000 Canadian jobs at risk. So what we're asking for is, surely with that $15 billion historic subsidy provided to Stellantis, were there no job guarantees for Canada, for the Canadian-wide job footprint from Stellantis? It would appear not. And so now we have 3,000 families that may not be able to pay their bills for their mortgage and ensure their kids have foods in their bellies. Like, this is a very shocking development out of a company that the Canadian taxpayer has provided $15 billion for.
This is how we find transparency.
Plant. So it's very disappointing.
It's disappointing, but you still have not received the contracts. We know the industry minister says that the documents will be released over to the industry committee, of which you sit on as vice chair. But what if there is no clear guarantee? Is there no more obligation for Stellantis to actually protect these 3,000 jobs in Brampton?
Well, first of all, the contracts will be
Pretty
going to the
much.
Government Operations Committee, and they'll be provided in camera, so they won't be publicly available, at least not right away. And Conservatives have been calling for these contracts to be made public for over 2 years now for this very issue. We want to know what was promised or what was not promised to the Canadian taxpayer. Again, $15 billion is not chump change. This is a significant investment. In fact, it
A lot of money that could have went to our
$1,000
communities.
of federal taxes that each family in Canada, each household in Canada would pay. So $1,000 for each Canadian household is invested in this $15 billion deal. And it would appear that no job guarantees were required for that $15 billion for Canada-wide Stellantis for their footprint. And we're a bit incredulous about it because that's quite shocking. That is a huge number of taxpayer dollars, and yet no job guarantees. That is a bad deal from the Liberals.
Okay, but again, the documents still have to be reviewed to actually come to that conclusion. But what are you trying to do? Expose the government for what? Having a paper tiger threat? I'm still trying to understand your logic here, because I understand
you don't understand English,
but that's before seeing the documents. What argument are you trying to make by actually getting these documents released?
Is that money never gonna come back? Bro, it looks like he doesn't care about that 15 guys, $1 billion?
$15 billion deal should have guaranteed the Stellantis jobs in Canada. They employ thousands of Canadian auto sector workers. Now we're seeing 3,000 of those jobs at risk. In fact, a significant area of their production in Brampton is going down to Illinois in the United States, alongside a $13 billion commitment.
We
from
shouldn't care about
Stellantis
that, guys.
into the
This is
US,
what your
not into
mainstream
Canada.
media
$13
is saying.
billion to enrich thousands of American jobs. Why is it
Yes.
that Canadians are paying the price to subsidize American workers? It shouldn't be the case. So we want to see the contracts to see what kind of deal did the Liberals make for $15 billion. I think taxpayers expect quite a high bar of transparency and deliverables in that deal. And it would appear, based on the production moving to the US, based on 3,000 jobs being at risk, that they did not in fact guarantee a Canada-wide job footprint from Stellantis with $15 billion. I find that quite shocking.
Okay, and again, we'll have to see what the documents actually reveal. But
Thank you. And you can just go away, sir. Thank you. All right, so that was one of it. So after the meeting, yeah, we're gonna skip the after the meeting. Listen, let's see. Oh, let me share this with you guys. This one, yeah. Share screen. Here we are.
refinance, or renovate, nothing scares us. We're here to talk. Call us today.
Hi there and welcome to Power Play. I'm Vashi Capellos in Ottawa on this Tuesday. Tonight, managing expectations.
We're ongoing discussions with the Americans, and I wouldn't overplay it.
I wanted to get at this part. This man.
This month, Nutrifarms is
Listen
welcoming
to
you
him.
to the table with 75 big boxes of beef.
Reached in this report by the Auditor General was that there is a direct link between the number of agents staffing these call centers and their ability to respond to calls. So I have a very simple first question. In that budget I just spoke about coming down in 2 weeks, will you cut call center staff?
I would say this. I would think that, first off, I want to thank CRA staff and public servants. I think they're world class.
Really?
They've delivered Canada Child Benefit, Disability Tax Credit, benefits back to Canadians. Where would a lot of Canada be without the CRA with respect to COVID benefits? So, you know what, like I said to you last time, I wouldn't prejudge the CER. We are looking at every option with respect to the CRA. We have weekly meetings now with Commissioner Hamilton. We are in regular dialogue with the president of UTE, Hope Pierre. And we are looking for ways to support call center staff. I'm not prepared to say we're going to cut. I'm not prepared to say we're going to add. We're looking at it. We're going to make service better. Canadians deserve service. They deserve timely service, quick service, and most importantly, accurate service. And
This
I do
is
want
your
to say,
CRA, guys.
I take the Auditor General's report as a constructive criticism, and we certainly accept her findings, and we're going to continue to improve.
Why are you unable to say whether what you're going to do at staffing levels? I
improve.
understand that there might be other mechanisms in play that could improve service on the margins, but the Auditor General is pretty unequivocal about the link between the levels of staffing and the ability to meet even very basic service standards like answering 65% of calls in 15 minutes. The only time that happened was after the pandemic when the staffing levels were at 7,000. At the end of May, they were at 3,500, half that, right? She points out, I think word for word, the number of agents available directly impacts the agency's ability to respond to callers requesting to talk to an agent and to meet its service standard. If the link is that clear, why can't you be as clear?
Well, I mean, let's look at, let's go back. I mean, we came up with a
Maybe because they're working out from home?
Call access for Canadians was, obviously needed a lot of room for improvement. It was as low as 17%. We've enacted a 100-day plan. We're working with, obviously, the union, Commissioner Hamilton, the wonderful public servants. We've increased that 17% within 2 weeks to 34%, up to 57%. To 77%. I'm pleased to say that as of last week, we were at almost 89% now of calls answered within 15 minutes. That is market improvement. And one thing that I've always believed in, whether I was in small business or in politics, was accountability, holding leadership accountable for improved service. As you know, I was sworn in as Secretary of State for CRA in May. A lot of this work is before that point. So, I'm worried about the future.
Yeah.
I think now...
You want to blame Trudeau for the past?
The 100-day plan is working. We are reallocating. We're not necessarily throwing more people at that. So I would argue back that we haven't really added employees right now. We've extended
the bleeding. You stemmed, to be clear, you were going to get rid of even more people, and you decided to extend the contracts of 850 people. Doesn't that show that had a direct impact on the level of service?
No, not at all. In fact, the Auditor General's report was much prior to even when I was sworn in. I believe it was March, April. I came in May. We are working with the leadership on a weekly basis. We are setting goals. We are reallocating some resources, but it's not as easy as just saying, we're going to add more people and we're not going to cut. We're looking at every option. We're looking at equipping the call center workers with better digital services. We're looking upstream to see where the bottlenecks are. And I'm really, really happy with where we're at. Again, it's not necessarily about adding or subtracting. It's about looking at where we are, assessing it, getting a baseline, which I think we haven't had in a long time.
Yes, we heard you, sir. You just got in May, but still... That is your public service money, guys. with that, let me just say it is getting late. Tomorrow I will finish up the October 24th question period, right? And yeah, let's get on here. Hold on. Couple of things. Oh yes, Mr. Trump is very upset about this ad. Guys, the ad, it just killed it. But let's cover that tomorrow. And I'll end the stream here. Good night.